So someone had made a post the other day about logees ponderosa grafted cutting they had purchased in the summer of 2021, and mine was also purchased in the summer of 2021. And I knew mine was declining. As you see, it has yellow vein chlorosis, and it did drop about 2 or 3 leaves, and this leaf will drop as well. And I removed my flower buds just now, and I was not going to let this thing fruit by any means, though I did get a little selfish and want to smell the blooms again because the blooms are very, very fragrant. But anyway, I did remove them. But the whole thing about this tree is you can see the leaves are telling me it's not happy, it's stressed, and at this point, I should have already corrected the problem, but at this point, I'm hoping it's not too late to go ahead and correct the problem. So the problem is actually this little container, and it's not the size. It's the fact that the growing medium is not able to dry out fast enough indoors in a plastic pot. And I'm pretty sure that is the problem occurring with this particular one. And the leaves are always going to tell you when it's stressed. Like, this is also a grafted cutting purchased from Logees Nursery. It was the same mail order. And you can see it definitely has a deficiency going on, and I'm almost positive it is not anything to do with the roots and it very well could. It could have been dry for too long and caused a little bit of root damage. But yeah, the soil is very dry at this moment. And this is actually the point where I would water this tree, because you can visually see the top is dry, and getting the soil 2 inches dry, knuckle deep, or whatever that method people are using in a small pot like this is not going to happen. But I do allow my soil to dry like that before watering. And like I said, that could have caused some root damage, but I'm thinking this is more of a nutrient deficiency. And I'm actually going to be pulling this one out of the pot and putting it into another pot, not necessarily larger. I'm going to be using one of the same pots these are in, because these are doing pretty well as opposed to this one. So I did remove all the soil from this rooted grafted cutting, and as you see, that is 100% root rot. And oh lordy, I'm gonna have to treat this thing like it's a cutting and try to get it to root all over again, and it may not live. It may not. The rosa lemon grafted cutting is still showing signs that it's declining, and it still has root rot with the yellow vein chlorosis. The flower buds that I removed are forming again because it's more than likely a stress bloom, but it is being kept on a heat mat, hopefully to ensure more root growth. Also, the Meyer lemon grafted cutting from Logees 15 days later is flourishing with new growth and is continuing to thrive. It appears to be loving the heat mat. The third grafted cutting, Meyer lemon, is not progressing or declining at the moment. I'm also spraying down all 3 cuttings with water and a little bit of castile soap due to signs of spider mites. But this is my results of using a heat mat. And from my personal experience, this may have never happened if I were using a heat mat from the get-go growing indoors. This was not a video on how to care for citrus indoors. This is my personal experience using a heat mat with citrus in Zone 5B indoors. This was also my experience with yellow vein chlorosis, and yellow vein chlorosis can be an indication of other factors and not always root rot. This was A Hole Gardener reminding you a great garden typically starts with a hole.